Number one, consistency is key. And you're already doing a little bit every day. So I feel like you've got that licked. A lot of people are very inconsistent. They might fall off for weeks, months, and some fall off permanently. Doing a little bit every single day will keep you on track. So you already have the habit built to do something every single day, which is absolutely important. So don't lose that.
Yeah, the mastermind is a large community of people like-minded. So it's a great platform that was created by you and your team. And I like it because I get a lot of notifications a day of someone having a new opportunity and or like someone that closed on a deal. So I need to do a little better on utilizing the mastermind. I will admit, I haven't posted since just my introduction. I read what people saw post. Sometimes it's not applicable to me, but it's cool just to see what people are up to. I've done a little of the SDA workshops through them, but I haven't networked on them necessarily. So I need to probably work my way around that community a little better, considering like it's built for that.
Yeah, I think so too, because it's a specific community around multifamily specifically. I think one of the challenges you'll find with meetups is that there's 95% are doing something else. They're flipping, landlording, buying land and notes and that kind of stuff. And it's going to be very few people that are going to be doing multifamily. There are going to be some, so you should definitely network with that. But definitely leverage these online communities that you're already in. Ours is a great place to connect. So really figure out a way to connect, become more active in the community, maybe contribute, because you know how to analyze deals. You have something to contribute. You've talked to brokers. Share your conversation with a broker. It was an awful conversation. Here's what I learned. Like stuff like that is really valuable to people. And then set up meetings with people. I mean, you can be, honestly, I remember interviewing a couple lived in London. They were Americans. And they literally did a series of deals in the States by doing exactly, this was during COVID even. And they would just set up calls. Anyone they would meet online, they would go, hey, you want to do a Zoom call? No particular reason, no rhyme or agenda, just, hey, you want to connect? And they just schedule like one a day, And that's how they found their entire team. Just by, and then some are like, oh, that's cool, but others, they really hit it. And they really connected with people. And so maybe consider mining the mastermind in that way. And that's maybe one thing you can try.
That is a good idea. Yeah, because there needs to be something that levels me up, get to the next level, because I can have all this info and never apply it.
And when you have those conversations, the other thing you can do is then organize your own little mini mastermind. So this is like imagine like a small group that meets every couple of weeks, right? So imagine you with 5, 6 other people, and you all are committed to checking in with each other for accountability and support. We do this in our mentoring program. We put our mentoring students in these things, and people freaking love it. I'm in 2 of those myself, and yes, we get together in person as well. But it's really that small group environment that's so valuable. So that's another thing that you can consider doing. But I think community is very important. And you kind of just have our online course, obviously. So you have to work on it a little harder, but you're still connected to the Dealmaker Mastermind, the online community. So leverage that as well. What else? What are some other things that you're struggling with right now? We can maybe help you with.
Another thing one, it's mostly just like the starting the network thing. And that's just including also talking to brokers and property managers. Like like I said, I'm going through that part in the certification. So I got to refresh, is this the correct way to go about it? That's kind of where my hurdle's at. And then my other hurdle's at more of like, I am trying to look into the future and like, I can kind of only, how do I say this? Like go in an area outside of the Chicagoland area. I can fly in everywhere, but I don't have a car to go super far. So like I'm kind of limited on where I can go, but at the same time, I'm at a place where I'm figuring that out, and that's neglecting the real estate. So there's like hurdles I could see approaching. And then my only other fears, I just have like a fear of not getting where I want to be within a year from now, let's say. And so I want to know just from your perspective, like that's why this call was so important to me. It's not because I have a specific hurdle that has a specific answer. It's more of like, if you were in my shoes, what's the one thing you would have told yourself to like level up at my stage? And other than, networking in the mastermind community, is there something else? If there's not, then okay. But
well, so a couple things come to mind. Number one, consistency is key. and you're already doing a little bit every day. So I feel like you've got that licked. A lot of people are very inconsistent. They might fall off for weeks, months, and some fall off permanently. Doing a little bit every single day will keep you on track. So you already have the habit built to do something every single day, which is absolutely important. So don't lose that. The second one is a commitment to the activities. So, Hal Elrod has a book called The Miracle Equation. Have you read that book yet?
No.
Yeah, go ahead and read it, Miracle Equation. It redefines the way that goal setting is defined, at least from my mind. Normally, goals are very specific, they have deadlines, blah, blah, blah. They're written in the present tense. Okay, I get all that. But Hal Elrod argues that instead of committing to a deadline, okay, commit instead to the activities that ultimately lead to the deadline. So, your 1 year goal, this is what triggered that. It's like, well, you feel like you need to get to a certain place in 1 year. Maybe you might say, my gosh, I should surely have my first deal done in 1 year. Now, let's imagine that a year comes and goes and you don't have a first deal yet. Now, what happens? Now, it could happen that you're now discouraged or angry, and you might decide to walk away from the whole damn thing because obviously it's maybe working for others, but not working for you. And it's really only because you self-imposed an arbitrary deadline. Mm-hmm. So instead of doing that, simply commit to the activities that lead to your desired outcome, right? So if you want to find a deal, what's the activity or activities that you should commit to every single week? What is that?
I got it.
Well, I know, tell me, what are the activities that you should be doing?
Analyzing deals, calling brokers, calling property managers, building a team, basically building a team.
Perfect. Now, if you want to raise capital, what are the activities you should commit to there?
Talking to friends and family, understanding how much capital is needed, what type of capital I need, planning that out. Just also talking to different investors. So perfect.
Yeah, it's talking to potential investors, right? So at one point, it gets pretty simple. You're analyzing deals, and every time when I say analyze deal, I'm almost making an offer. It could be via email, verbal, informal, right? And then number two is talking to investors. That's it, right? And if you continue doing that, you'll eventually find a deal, and you'll eventually raise money as well. There's a third activity, which is finding a partner, a potential partner.
Yeah.
And let's talk about it. There's really two major roles in an early syndication. One, there's typically two partners in a syndication. One is more the deal finder, and one is more the capital raiser. Mm-hmm. Which of the two, and sometimes, which of the two do you gravitate more towards?
I'm not sure. I think I would be okay doing both.
Yep. Okay.
Because I have a good network for capital raising. That's something that I think I have less stress over. So I don't know. I think I could do good about both.
Well, that's cool. I'm a little bit like you. I'm a little bit of a generalist. I can feel I can do both. Nevertheless, I want you to think about partnering with somebody. So let's say you're getting deal flow. You'll get over the hump of calling brokers, or maybe you won't. Maybe that numbers are so you're hate numbers so badly that just the idea of analyzing deals makes you want to throw up, okay? And you'd rather work investors. Now you're more of a capital raiser, okay? On the other hand, if you're not much of a relationship guy and you're really more of a numbers guy, you're more detail-oriented, you might gravitate more to the deal finding. And then you could be the rare bird that can do a little bit of both, kind of like what I am. However, having said that, that doesn't mean you should do everything yourself, right? Because there's only so many hours in a day. I mean, you could probably spend 10 hours a week just analyzing deals and making offers. And then you can spend just 10 hours a week talking to investors and raising money. Now it's 20 hours. You don't actually have 20 hours. You have maybe 10 hours total. So you can do 5 and 5. Now, if you pursue both activities at once, you'll eventually get there. It'll just take longer. But if you were to focus on only one of those two activities and take your entire 10 hours on one of those two activities, it will obviously, there will have results sooner rather than splitting your time. So it's a matter of practicality. At that point, you got to ask yourself a question: what do you enjoy most? What are you better at doing? And you focus on that one activity, and then maybe you partner for the second. Even if you could do both, Andrew, right? Let's say you can find deal and you raise money, which you should. You should always raise money, whether it's 100,000, 200,000, 500, it doesn't really matter. You should always raise money. But regardless of how much money you can raise, especially in the early on, there's going to be to limit of how much you can raise. Now, if you were working with us, with our mentoring program, for example, the average deal size is $4 million, the first one. which probably sounds big to you. I mean, that sounds big to me, but it's because of this thing. It's because of this partnering aspect of it,
Yeah.
where so let's say you're a deal finder, okay? Let's say you're more of a deal finder, and you decide to focus your time on deal finding. So you're talking to brokers, analyzing deals, you're building relationships, okay? And now you're getting deal flow. You have your counterpart who's a capital raiser, who again has no interest in analyzing deals because it requires numbers. And therefore they don't want to talk to brokers because it requires talking about numbers, which they don't like. They're much more, they'd rather talk to their investors. And there are people who just have the gift of gab and relationships and networking, and they can easily raise $1 million. Like, that's easy for them. Now, if I can raise $1 million, I can buy a $4 million deal. So it's really that simple. And people with access to capital have the opposite problem. They don't have deal flow. So they need deal finders. They also they're not as detail oriented, so they can't really handle the due diligence process, which is detail oriented. And sometimes they don't really love some of the stuff on the back end, right? And so this is why those partnerships are so powerful. And so that's one thing to consider, is looking for a partner in the right way. Like I said, there's only 2 roles in the early syndication one. And you want to make sure that you choose the one that you want to focus on and find your counterpart. The roles have to be very clear, right? So they have to be, one of you is going to be focused on finding deals, and one of you is going to focus on raising capital. That doesn't mean that the capital raiser shouldn't know how to underwrite deals, because they need to know the numbers to explain it to investors. They should also know due diligence because they have to explain it to the investors, right? So it's not like they're completely ignorant, and you, as a deal finder, should also know how to raise capital, right? So there's overlap, but the accountability is only one person in the partnership.
Okay, I understand. That makes sense. I can see how that could be a lot more important too down the line too, having a partner, at least, and it's more of also like the accountability with each other too. You trust them, and